Alright, how's it going everybody? Jesse here with RedefineFX, and today I'm going to show you how to make this loopable shockwave using the new motion design tools in Unreal Engine 5.5. So this will be an introductory tutorial to the new motion tools. We're going to cover the cloners, effectors, and animators to make this animate without any keyframes. This tutorial is a sample lesson from the new Unreal Motion course where we cover all of the new motion design features and tools in depth, step by step, covering all of these different effects that you're seeing right now. You can check out the course at redefinefx.com/unrealmotion. So I'm starting with a blank scene. I just added a few lights and a floor, and we can enable the motion design mode. Go under actors and say cloner actor, just click, and I will drag my details panel over here so I can see everything. And we can reset the location and rotation, move it higher. So for the layout, I want count Z to be 0. And for the count X, we can do 50 by 50. Go under the cloner, select the cube, and let's scale it down a little bit. So 0.5 on all axes, and keep lowering the spacing to move them closer together. So I'll do 53 by 53. And now you can click on Effector up here and say Create Linked Effector. I want to change the shape to be a torus and the scale set to 0. But I want to invert it, so we can say Invert Type. And now you can hit R to scale. And just by scaling the effector, you're already starting to get your shockwave. I just want the cubes to be a bit taller, so under Scale, you can click on this field and say free, so you can scale each axis individually. And I'll just set the z-axis to 0.5 or even 1. But I want them to be different heights to randomize it. So I'll select the cloner again, go under Effector and say Create Linked Effector. So this will be our second effector. Except this time I want to set the shape to be unbound and the mode to noise. And so you can select the cloner and both of the effectors and just move them all down so that it's sitting nicely on the floor. And for the effector 2, again, I want the scale to be free and set the scale strength to 3 on the z-axis with a pan of 0.5 and a frequency of, let's try 8. And so now they have random height and they keep sort of raising up and down randomly. And let's give them a nicer material. So I'll just select the default cube. And I've already prepared some different shades of blue. So for the first clone, I'll just give it this light blue material. And then you can make a copy, Control D. And for the second one, I'll give it this darker blue. And make one more copy. And for the third one, I'll go for this almost pure white. And to make it random, select the cloner. Go under rendering, and for the mesh render mode, you want to say random. So now we can go back to the first effector, and you can play with the torus radius and the torus inner radius, as well as the outer radius, to make it sort of a sharper transition. And so now when you grab the effector and you scale it up and down, you're starting to get a pretty nice shockwave going on. And so at this point, you could just go to your sequencer and set a few keyframes from 0 all the way up to animate the shockwave expanding. But I want to show you how to do this without keyframes using the new animators. So with the effector selected, you want to go to Scale, right click, and here you have the different modes for the animators: bounce, curve, oscillate. But actually what we want is time, because we simply want it to expand from 0 to a higher number over time, and say relative scale 3D vector. Vector means that it's for all 3 axes, X, Y, and Z together. So click on this one. And then with the effector still selected, you need to go under operator stack. If you're not seeing this window, you can just click here on the shortcut operator stack and this will bring it up. By default, it's in the modifiers tab, so go to animators and here you go. So by default, nothing is happening because both the amplitude minimum and maximum are set to 0. So we just need to set the amplitude maximum to a higher number. So I'll set it to 1 on all axes. And it's going to start expanding. Now how quickly it's expanding is controlled with the cycle duration. So I can set this to 5 seconds to slow it way down, or just 0.5 seconds to speed it up. So I think I'll actually leave it at 1 second. Now we do actually want it to start from 0, and that's what this mode is for. So by default it's set to additive, which means that it's adding the scale on top of the original scale. But we want to replace the scale with these amplitudes completely. So instead of additive, I'll set it to absolute. And now it will actually go from 0 scale to a scale of 1. But we need it to expand more. So I'll set the amplitude max to, let's try 4. And that works, but it's too fast. So cycle duration 3 seconds. Nice. So this is looking good, except we kind of run out of blocks toward the end, right? We need our cloner to be expanded more. So under the cloner, we can simply set the count to be 100 on all axes to have a lot more blocks. And finally, to make it loopable, you can just set the cycle mode from loop to ping pong, and it will actually make it go back and forth. So this is exactly how I made one of the backgrounds for the RedefineFX website. Just needed something to be going on in the background, something interesting. If you hit F11G to hide all the icons. And as a final touch, if you want to change how the cubes are appearing and disappearing, you can select the effector, and here you have the easing mode types. So it's set to linear. So what you can do is give it a curve. So maybe set it to in and out cubic. And this will sort of ease the cubes in and out as they're born and scaled up and down. So here you go. This is a very common motion design style effect, some shockwave for reveals. You could even hook this up with audio to make it audio reactive. We covered some cloners, effectors, animators, lots of good stuff. If you'd like to continue learning how to make effects like this with the new motion design tools in Unreal Engine 5.5, then I just released the new Unreal Motion course where we cover all of these effects that you're seeing right now. Everything is covered in the course step by step. We go over the new collisions, changing colors, making the particles actually light up when they come in contact with the effectors using emissive materials. We activate forces based on proximity, color the particles based on speed, lifetime, and other conditions. Here I'm even changing the material from metal to wood. Here is the audio reactive shockwave that we just made. Some noise cancelling effects where we cover a lot of different techniques. We go deep into all of the different new features and settings to modify the materials and all that good stuff. So if you'd like to check it out, it's now available at RedefineFX.com/UnrealMotion. I'd love to see you inside, and I'll see you in the next one.